Welcome to the Sleepless Pigeon Scientist. Tonight, we're going to explore something that might fundamentally challenge everything you thought you knew about human biology itself. Something so profoundly mysterious, so quietly revolutionary, that it might just keep you awake wondering if you're one of the rare few who could theoretically never need sleep again. And if you are, well, according to the cases we're about to discuss, you join an impossibly small group of humans who seem to have broken one of biology's most fundamental rules. Before we venture into this particular corner of genetic mystery, I'd like to gently ask for your support. If these late-night explorations intrigue you, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing. It helps other restless minds discover these concepts, and it means everything to me. I'm also curious, where are you listening from tonight? Maybe you're in a quiet bedroom in suburban Canada, fighting off sleep at 2 a.m., or perhaps you're in a Tokyo apartment, genuinely unable to sleep despite trying for hours. Wherever you are, I'd love to know your location and how many hours you've been awake as you contemplate the possibility that some humans might never need sleep at all. Leave a comment below, especially if you're one of those people who naturally seems to need very little sleep. You might be more special than you realize. Tonight's journey is called The Sleepless Ones, and we'll be drifting through one of the most baffling mysteries in human biology: the existence of people who seem to function perfectly on impossibly little sleep, and the genetic mutations that might explain why. We'll explore how a tiny genetic change can rewrite the rules of human consciousness, how some families have carried this mysterious trait for generations, and why this supposed gift of wakefulness might actually reveal something profound about the nature of human evolution itself. From the discovery of the world's first short sleeper families to the cutting-edge research trying to unlock their genetic secrets, we'll be examining the idea that sleep, as most of us understand it, might not be as universal as we thought. But don't worry, we won't be diving too deep into the complexities of genetic sequencing. Just deep enough to make you question everything you thought you knew about rest, consciousness, and what it truly means to be human. And if somewhere along the way your thoughts begin to feel heavy and your grip on conventional sleep patterns starts to loosen, then you're in exactly the right place. Please remember, everything in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is cutting-edge genetic research and neuroscience, not medical advice. Always consult qualified professionals for any concerns about your sleep patterns or health. Now, settle in comfortably. Take a slow, deep breath. And let's begin. The discovery: when normal sleep rules don't apply. Imagine, for a moment, that you wake up naturally after just 4 hours of sleep, feeling completely refreshed and energized. Not groggy, not tired, not reaching for coffee. Genuinely alert and ready to face 18 to 20 hours of wakefulness. For most of us, this would be a recipe for disaster. But for a small group of people scattered across the globe, this is simply normal. The story of human short sleepers begins in 2009, when researchers at the University of California, San Francisco, made a discovery that would shake the foundations of sleep science. They were studying a woman who had approached them with an unusual claim. She had been sleeping only 4 hours per night her entire adult life, with no apparent negative effects. Most researchers would have dismissed this as either exaggeration or some form of sleep disorder. But Dr. Ying-Hui and her team decided to investigate. What they found changed everything we thought we knew about human sleep requirements. This woman wasn't just surviving on 4 hours of sleep, she was thriving. Her cognitive function was normal. Her mood was stable. Her health was excellent. She had no signs of the devastating effects that sleep deprivation causes in the rest of us. It was as if she had been born with a completely different relationship to consciousness itself. But here's where the story becomes truly extraordinary. When they studied her family, they discovered that her daughter shared the same trait. And when they looked deeper into her genetics, they found something that would launch an entirely new field of research. The genetic key, a mutation that rewrites biology. The woman and her daughter both carried a mutation in a gene called December 2nd. This gene normally helps regulate our circadian rhythms, the internal clock that tells us when to sleep and when to wake. But their version of the gene was different. Just one small change, one tiny alteration in the genetic code, and suddenly the fundamental rules of human sleep seem to no longer apply. Think about this for a moment. Throughout human history, we've assumed that 8 hours of sleep is a biological necessity. We've built entire societies around the rhythm of day and night, rest and activity. But here was proof that some humans could function perfectly on half that amount, not through training, not through willpower, but through a simple genetic difference. The researchers didn't stop there. They created mice with the same genetic mutation, and the results were remarkable. These mice also slept significantly less than normal mice, but showed no signs of sleep deprivation. They were more active, more alert, and seemed to suffer no negative consequences from their reduced sleep. But as the research progressed, the team began to realize they had stumbled upon something much larger than a single family with an unusual sleep pattern. They had discovered the first concrete evidence that human sleep requirements might be far more variable than anyone had ever imagined. The hunt, finding more sleepless humans. Word of the discovery spread through the scientific community, and soon researchers began actively searching for more people with similar traits. What they found was both fascinating and deeply mysterious. Dr. Fu's team eventually identified several families with natural short sleep patterns. Some carried the December 2nd mutation, but others had different genetic variants. There was a family with a mutation in the ADRB1 gene, another with changes in the NPSR1 gene. Each mutation seemed to affect sleep in slightly different ways, but all resulted in the same remarkable outcome: people who could function perfectly on 4 to 6 hours of sleep per night. These weren't insomniacs struggling with sleep disorders. These weren't people forcing themselves to stay awake through caffeine or medication. These were individuals who simply didn't need as much sleep as the rest of us, and their bodies and minds functioned beautifully on what would be considered severe sleep deprivation for anyone else. But here's what makes this discovery truly unsettling. The researchers estimate that less than 1% of people who claim to be short sleepers actually carry these genetic mutations. The vast majority of people who think they can function on very little sleep are actually chronically sleep deprived and suffering the consequences, even if they don't realize it. This raises a disturbing question: how many true short sleepers are out there, unaware that they carry one of the rarest genetic gifts in human biology? The mystery: what sleep actually does. The discovery of natural short sleepers has forced scientists to reconsider one of the most fundamental questions in biology. Why do we sleep at all? For decades, researchers have proposed various theories. Sleep might be when our brains clear out toxins accumulated during the day. It might be when we consolidate memories, transferring important information from short-term to long-term storage. It might be when our bodies repair cellular damage and restore energy reserves. But if some humans can function perfectly with dramatically less sleep, what does that tell us about these supposedly essential processes? Are short sleepers processing toxins more efficiently? Are they consolidating memories faster? Or are they somehow bypassing these processes entirely? The answers remain largely unknown, and that's what makes this discovery so profound. The existence of natural short sleepers suggests that sleep, one of the most universal human experiences, might be far more mysterious and variable than we ever imagined. Consider this: you spend roughly 1/3 of your life sleeping. For an 80-year-old, that's about 26 years of unconsciousness. But there are people walking among us who might spend only 13 years of their lives asleep, giving them an extra 13 years of conscious experience. In terms of waking hours, they essentially live almost twice as long as the rest of us. The implications: evolutionary advantages and risks. From an evolutionary perspective, the ability to function on less sleep would seem to be an enormous advantage. More time for hunting, gathering, socializing, learning, reproducing. More time to watch for predators, to tend to offspring, to contribute to the survival of the group. So why hasn't this trait become more common? Why do most humans still need 8 hours of sleep if some can thrive on 4? The answer might lie in the complex trade-offs of human biology. Some research suggests that natural short sleepers might be more prone to certain health risks. like hypertension or mood disorders. The December 2nd mutation that allows for less sleep might also affect other biological processes in ways we don't yet understand. There's also the possibility that sleep serves functions that aren't immediately obvious. Maybe the extra sleep most of us need provides some subtle advantage that becomes apparent only over long periods, or under specific conditions. Or perhaps we're witnessing evolution in action. Maybe these sleep mutations represent humanity's next evolutionary step, a gradual adaptation to a world where more waking hours provide survival advantages. The search continues, modern sleep warriors. Today, researchers around the world are actively hunting for more natural short sleepers. They're using advanced genetic sequencing, sleep monitoring technology, and large-scale population studies to identify individuals with these rare traits. Dr. Fu's team has found several more families with short sleep mutations, each adding another piece to the puzzle. They've discovered that some short sleepers not only need less sleep but also recover from sleep deprivation more quickly than average people. Others seem to have enhanced cognitive abilities during their extended waking hours. But for every answer they find, new questions emerge. Are there other genetic variants that haven't been discovered yet? Could these mutations be induced artificially? Are there environmental factors that can trigger or suppress these traits? The research has also revealed something unexpected. Many natural short sleepers don't realize they're unusual. They assume everyone feels as alert and energetic as they do on limited sleep. It's only when they compare their sleep patterns to family members or friends that they realize they might be different. This suggests that there could be many more natural short sleepers in the population than we know about. People who have simply adapted to their unique biology without ever questioning it. The dark side, when less sleep isn't a gift. But before you start hoping you might be a natural short sleeper, it's important to understand the darker side of this story. The vast majority of people who sleep less than 7 hours per night are not genetically gifted. They're chronically sleep deprived. Chronic sleep deprivation has been linked to nearly every major health problem: heart disease, diabetes, obesity, depression, weakened immune function, and even shortened lifespan. The difference between a natural short sleeper and someone who's simply not getting enough sleep can be the difference between optimal health and serious illness. The tragedy is that many people who are suffering from chronic sleep deprivation convince themselves that they're just naturally good on less sleep. They push through the fatigue, the cognitive impairment, the mood changes, telling themselves that they're being productive or efficient. In reality, they're slowly damaging their health and well-being. True natural short sleepers don't experience these negative effects. They don't feel tired, they don't have trouble concentrating, they don't rely on caffeine to function. Their bodies and minds operate perfectly on less sleep because they're genetically designed to do so. The testing. How to know if you're different. So how can you tell if you're one of the extremely rare natural short sleepers or just someone who's not getting enough sleep? The signs are actually quite clear, though they require honest self-assessment. Natural short sleepers typically share several characteristics. They fall asleep quickly, they wake up naturally without alarms, they feel refreshed and energetic immediately upon waking, they don't experience afternoon crashes, they don't rely on caffeine to stay alert, and they maintain this pattern consistently, even on weekends and vacations. Most importantly, they don't feel tired. Ever. Their baseline state is alert and energetic, not the groggy, foggy feeling that many people have normalized as normal. If you're reading this and thinking, that sounds like me, there's a small chance you might carry one of these rare genetic variants. But statistically, it's much more likely that you're simply not getting enough sleep and have become accustomed to functioning in a chronically sleep-deprived state. The only way to know for certain would be genetic testing and careful monitoring by sleep researchers. But even then, new genetic variants are still being discovered, so absence of known mutations doesn't necessarily mean you're not a natural short sleeper. The future, engineering sleep. The discovery of natural short sleepers has opened up fascinating possibilities for the future of human biology. If we can understand exactly how these genetic mutations work, could we potentially induce similar effects in other people? Some researchers are already working on this possibility. They're studying the biochemical pathways affected by sleep mutations, trying to identify drugs or therapies that could safely reduce sleep requirements in the general population. Imagine a world where everyone could function perfectly on 4 hours of sleep. The implications would be staggering. More time for creativity, learning, relationships, experiences. Potentially faster technological and cultural advancement. A fundamental change in how human society operates. But such advances would also raise profound ethical questions. Would reduced sleep requirements become a new form of inequality? Would people who still need 8 hours of sleep be disadvantaged in work or social situations? Would we lose something essential about human nature if we eliminated the quiet, restful periods that sleep provides? These questions don't have easy answers, and we're still decades away from having the technology to safely modify human sleep requirements. But the existence of natural short sleepers proves that such modifications are at least theoretically possible. The wonder, what it means to be human. As we drift toward the end of our exploration, you might be wondering what these discoveries tell us about human nature itself. Perhaps what's most remarkable is not that some people can survive on less sleep, but that human biology is capable of such extraordinary variation. We tend to think of human nature as fixed, as if there's one, correct, way for our bodies and minds to function. But the existence of natural short sleepers reminds us that biology is far more flexible and surprising than we often assume. These individuals aren't medical anomalies or genetic mistakes. They're simply humans who won a very rare genetic lottery, one that gives them more waking hours to experience life, to think, to create, to connect with others. Whether you're someone who needs 8 hours of sleep or 4, whether you're a natural short sleeper or someone who cherishes long, restful nights, you're part of the incredible diversity of human experience. Your consciousness, your way of experiencing the world, your personal relationship with sleep and wakefulness, all of these are part of what makes you uniquely human. Closing, the eternal question. So, as you prepare to close your eyes tonight, remember this: somewhere in the world, there are people who are just beginning their day as yours ends. Not because of time zones, but because their genetics have given them a fundamentally different relationship with consciousness itself. And if you find yourself lying awake, wondering if you might be one of these rare individuals, pay attention to how you feel. Are you energized and alert, or tired and frustrated? Are you naturally operating on less sleep, or are you fighting against your body's needs? The answer might reveal something profound about your own biology, your own place in the fascinating spectrum of human variation. Sweet dreams, fellow travelers. And remember, whether you need 4 hours of sleep or 8, whether you're genetically gifted or beautifully normal, you're part of the ongoing mystery of human consciousness. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the genetic mystery of sleep. If you enjoyed this exploration, please like and subscribe for more late-night contemplations of the universe's strangest possibilities. And don't forget to share where you're listening from and how many hours you've been awake. I love knowing that these ideas are reaching minds across the globe at all hours of the day and night. Until next time, keep questioning, keep wondering, and keep exploring the beautiful mysteries that make us human.